rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We can please do roll call.
Yes. Dante Renzi,
Present.
John Denies,
Present. Denise, yes, present.
Vicky Drumheller,
Here.
Joanne Webster,
Here.
Joanne White,
Here.
Richard Morrow,
Here.
Robert Allen.
Here.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. I'm being schooled in the microphone technology. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful thing. Everyone is here, members and alternates. It's been a while since we've had everyone together. So the next is announcements and agenda modifications. Do I hear any? Okay, then we'll move to the approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review?
I have an adjustment to the minutes.
Okay.
I second that.
Page 2.
Oops.
Oh, he's got an adjustment.
The committee member park update.
Page 2.
Section B.
Can you turn your microphone on? It needs the little red thing to be on.
Green. That'd be green. Okay, how's that?
Good.
Is that better? Better? Okay, so it's page 2, section B. I stated that the boat ramps look fine and advised that the pickleball court sidewalk needs to be coated. I don't know what that means. It's the pickleball court sidewalk needs to be fixed,
Okay.
not coated.
So your modification would be that to remove needs to be coated and the sidewalk needs to be fixed.
Fixed, yeah.
Okay.
It's a long-standing problem. Yeah, water collects there. It's like this.
Does anyone have any other agenda modifications? Modifications to the minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a
I'll second.
motion by Ms. Webster, second by Mr. Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Now we have public input. Are we, I watch all the city council. Are we not doing Zoom public input anymore, or are we still doing that?
We're still currently doing the public input.
Okay. All right, so no one's here. Is there anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll go to item 7, unfinished business. Item A, the current projects update.
Good evening, Board, Madam Chair. The Creative Playground is under construction. We began February 5th with demolition, and they began February 12th with construction. And we hope to have a ribbon cutting sometime in April.
It's moving quickly. I bike by there regularly, and if you haven't looked at what's going on at Creative Playground, it's exciting.
And I would ask Mr. Van Meer to give you any more update that he may know, because he's out there every day.
You're right, it's coming along great.
Yeah,
It looks wonderful.
it is. I can't wait to see all that equipment. And actually, we really should do some type of a ribbon cutting, because that is such a new,
We will
with so
do
many new pieces there.
We will do a ribbon cutting.
That's a good.
We are going to do, yeah, so.
Can we come?
Yes. You will.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get, I'm sure you'll get that on calendars.
As soon as we get closer and we have a better idea of when it.
Yeah, so if we could get an email, we'd love to be part of that. Item B, committee member park updates. Would anyone like to talk about their parks?
Yeah, I have a question for Anton. So, a couple of months ago, we talked about trimming the, trees along the river there where the parking spaces are by Mulligan's. And I'm reading here, I missed the last meeting, but you can only, trim 18 inches. Are those all mangroves over there?
No.
There's 80% of them are mangroves. There are some palm trees there that we can trim, and we have, but they're so far as close to mulligans that it doesn't interfere with the view because there's no view from that area, no
Yeah.
parking there.
Yeah. So you can just trim a little off those.
Correct.
I was gonna bring that up also, because I did go down to the river, and there's a few that are not mangroves that could be cut down for better view. They're not all mangroves. There's some in that are just bushes. So I would like to see those cut back, because when I do go down there, sometimes I'll bring the newspaper and sit and read, and I look at people that are there, and sometimes people, I know we mentioned that they could get out of their car to go see the river, but there are some people that don't walk very well, and also when it's raining. I've seen people sit there in their cars. So whatever we can do to open up that view, I would be in favor of getting those cut down and maintain keeping them down. I understand about the mangroves, but I also know that people do like to look at the river.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes.
What we'll do is go down and evaluate what kind of tree they are and determine whether if they can be trimmed or even removed, we'll do that.
Yeah,
If they're invasive.
I would say remove them, any that are not mangroves. That would be my input on that, if you can.
We'll
That's what
we'll evaluate it.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of times people will go there and they just sit in the car and have their lunch.
Yeah.
Then they just want to look out and they can't see anything.
And just thinking about even Vero Beach, we are pretty unique in that we can do that, because I don't think Vero and Mel have places like that where you're right up to the water and you can look out across without having to walk or not see the river. So it makes one thing special for our water area there.
Does anyone want to start off, any comments about the parks, the assignments of parks? Mr. Allen?
Yes, I'd love to jump in. Jumping onto our discussion last month, I believe there were a few things about Bryant Court that were still in play. Can you give us an update on that?
Absolutely. We did repair the bench that we talked about, you and I discussed over the email. And we did go back out and treat for fire ants, and we did bring some more fill and level out the walk area. I haven't been out there in about a week, so shame on me, but I will be out there tomorrow. Tomorrow's my scheduled day to get out there and take a look around. We are replacing some posts along the fence that go around the park. We got those on order. It's a specialty fence, and we have to do a little data grinding on them because they don't make them like that anymore. But we're fixing that. There's three posts that need to be repaired, and there's some broken glass that we picked up. Looks like somebody smashed a couple of bottles around the playground area, but we went over there and picked that up today. And there are some dilapidated stands where the kids climb up, but we do have the replacements for that, so we'll be putting them up probably tomorrow.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your question.
It does. My next question actually is going to be again for Historical Park. I believe we were talking about there's plans to that, setting up some benches around there. Do we have finalized plans for that?
No, we're waiting on the stormwater development to come in and evaluate that. It's their park per se, even though we take care of it. It's their retention area.
Okay.
I was going to say,
But I will get you an update.
Thank you.
with that park you're talking about, the historical park there, that's the one on Schumann, coming down. I know people ask for memorial benches, And that might be a place that if we do put benches, or people want to put benches out, that might be a place to do it, so that we're not having to do it, you know, the city's not having to put the benches, because I know they've done that for other parks, and I think a lot of the parks are full with benches and things.
I thought that memorial bench situation was no longer available. Is that true?
I'm not aware. I'll check on that and follow up with an email
What,
to let you know. I have been involved with discussions about creating a memorial program, not just bench, but
now, what do
benches,
you
trees,
mean?
other
What do you mean memorial?
Well, we talked, I don't know if it was when Brian was here a couple of meetings ago, but we were discussing the memorial bricks and the memorial benches, and I thought I heard that they're not taking orders for memorial benches anymore.
Well, I know with my dad, we paid for the bench, and what the city did
The
then is
city
just put a
installed it.
cement pad,
Yeah.
and it was put on the pad. And I would say, I'd kind of like to keep that if we need
Me
benches
too.
somewhere.
Yeah,
That we could use for people that want to put benches up. I mean, if they're requesting and you think it's a good idea to put it there.
I'll follow up with the city manager tomorrow and
Okay.
determine where we are.
All right, so we can address that maybe at next meeting to see what, if one was going to do a memorial for a loved one in Sebastian, what is available for them to do? We'd just be curious to know. And maybe even a cost factor.
Well,
I know that's fluid depending on what happens, but
I
what would
think-
it cost today?
yeah, and I think the benches, like I had to order through a company that was suggested, and I paid them, the bench was delivered here, and then the city, they have the dimensions of how much of a pad they need, and then they'll go and check. I mean, like I wanted it in a certain place, and we kind of worked it out. So they put the pad on and the bench, and that was it. So, but anyway, it would save us from having to put benches out if we can do that.
Do you have anything about any of your other parks? Okay, would you like, Joanne, would you like to go?
No.
No, I'm done. Those are the two big ones. Joanne,
Okay.
I cede the floor.
Easy Street Park, thank you for getting some of those lights up on the walkway. And I'm trying to think if there was something else. The park is actually doing pretty good. We're on a schedule, though, for the the table cleaning and stuff. And I think it's getting close to that time of the year because the ducks are wandering through the neighborhood. So there's a lot of activity going on. This isn't with my park, but the benches, the swing benches on the river, do we know what's going to happen with that?
We had a very interesting meeting with a company called Canvas that has a swing bench. So that is still in development. You know, what can we do? How big of because it's a small area, how big of a bench or how big of a swing or can we go with and that kind of stuff. But that's on the radar for some grant funding and coming to fruition.
I think, weren't we waiting for something with the waterfront erosion? Weren't they doing something because of the hurricane that we had to wait for permitting or something? Was that on that?
Just to answer that question, we're waiting for FEMA to
FEMA.
come in and finish up addressing how far out we can go with the sand, to make our waterfront, to meet that setback. And as soon as we get that information back, we'll begin filling that in and creating the park. I don't know when that will be.
Okay. And I'd like to put on record for me, I would really like the city not to sell the property the motel was on. I know that I think it was up for sale. I think it might have been up for sale or not, but it's that green area where the motel was torn down and that the swings were going to go across the street from that area, I think. And I just keep thinking, I would like us to be able to keep it as a green space and not have to decide right now what we're going to put on it right away. But I just think it could be a place where people come, they could have a couple picnic tables, and it would just be a quiet area. So that's just my thought on that. And the other thing, I went bike riding on non-windy days, which wasn't very many. And I've noticed that our posts that we put up some years ago with a map for the bike trails, they're all whitewashed out. You're laughing, so you probably knew that was coming up, but I'm not sure if we even need to keep those up anymore. We have to do something, either put new maps on there or take down the posts, because it really, I think it's worse to have them there with faded out and non-readable maps. Had you guys talked about that?
Yes, ma'am, we have noticed it. And
Do you have any thoughts on it? Are you thinking?
I prefer to put them back up.
Well, they're up now, it's
I
just
mean,
the maps.
put new ones up.
Yeah,
and
those,
maybe
I'm
enhance
not sure why those faded out as much as they did. I don't know if there's another way to put them up, but since the posts are already there, maybe we should just put the maps on.
Well, maybe they could do like, have the map with like a shade kind of thing. That would kind of cover it a little bit.
Sounds like a bird perch to me.
Madam Chair,
The whole thing sounds like bird perch.
Whatever though, but just riding my bike going by those, it was like, oh, there's another one. So if we can maybe get maps on there.
Mr. Denise?
Madam Chair, yes, I'd like to go back to the swings and the property there. I am concerned that if we don't sit there and address some of these items, they're gonna go on forever. I would also make a recommendation that we address one item at a time. Have we submitted that to the city? Are we waiting for anything with the swings? Is there anything that we can do to get that on the agenda sooner? I mean, probably that's the one item that I hear weekly about, and it's been going on for years, Coach. When are you gonna do something?
Well, the swing bench issue is an upland issue, which we're not waiting on FEMA for that. We're waiting on FEMA for the water-based issue. It's just, I believe, and I'll double check, but I believe there is some funding already in the CIP for this. And like I said, we had a meeting with a company Thursday that was very encouraging. So it may be occurring sooner than later. We have to do a design and that type of stuff, but the city manager has made me aware that it's a priority for him.
So there's no way to, the city can't put any of those swings in place until FEMA determines the setback?
No, FEMA, they would not be holding up that part of it.
Okay.
It would be the finished part where the beach or whatever the water side improvement was going to be.
Do we have an idea about the cost of one of those swings? Kind of in ballpark?
It varies we would get something very substantial. It could be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a piece.
Okay. And we're looking at, did we even suggest how many we were thinking?
Well, that would come in the design, because we'd have to take some trees out. But they're cabbage palms, so
okay.
They can either be moved or taken out. We'd have to plot the sidewalk and all that type of stuff, so.
Okay.
But it is a priority.
Are you finished?
Miss Webster, of yours?
So, I haven't been by the ball field, but I know they've started, they had opening day the other day, and Hardy Park looks good. So, I do have to get up to the baseball field. And I'll check out that creative playground too.
Oh, yeah, when you go by, to me, it was, the hole was dug, I watched them take all the other stuff down, and then the next week, it looked like so much happened in a week. And it's so colorful. You guys you gotta take a peek. It makes you smile. My parks are all good. I don't have any complaints with my parks. Mr. Denise?
Madam Chair, I have no complaints either from anybody, and the parks look great.
Do you have anything on your parks?
Just the, mangrove thing that we discussed.
Oh, okay, that you already discussed.
I'm good, yeah.
Mr. Renzi?
I'm Mr. Renzi.
Yep, Mr. Renzi, I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind, that's okay.
That's Mr. Morrow.
It's okay, it's Monday.
Mr. Morrow, you have your parks?
Yeah, the, Main Street boat ramp and the yacht club look fine. I want to just comment real fast on the, pickleball courts. They continue to be very, 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 very busy during the morning times and in the evening times. I pass by there about 5:45 coming in here, and parking lot's full, courts are full, so it's, it just goes on and on. I want to send out a kudos to Antoine in the Parks Department. I had called him during the week about a broken net crank, and they came and replaced it and the net the next day. So from the players there, thank you. That's all.
Okay, everybody got their committee stuff now. Okay, we'll go to item C, which is a review of the upcoming events at Riverview Park.
Okay, so, we have a concert in the park, March 1st, starts at 5:30. I don't know who is playing, but I'm sure it'll be a good time for everybody. Then we have the Craft Club, March 9th and 10th. That starts at 10 a.m. Then we have River Days, March 15th through the 17th. It opens up at 3 p.m. on Friday and 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Should be a good time, city-sponsored event. Then we have the Sebastian Art Club, or a concert in the park on the 22nd, and the Sebastian Art Club on the 23rd. The Art Club starts at 8 a.m. And then we have the Easter egg hunt and a movie with the PD, and that begins at 5:45.
And what's the date on that?
That will be
March 29th.
March 29th.
and that takes us to the end of the month.
I have to make a comment. I'm trying to think, it was Halloween, after we were done with the judging. And then everybody went over to watch the movie in the green area, and they had their blankets down and families everywhere. And I got in the car, I parked across the street, and I got in my car, and I was getting ready to go. And I looked, and it was like going to the movie theater. I rolled my window down, sat in my car, and I just watched, and it was kind of windy out, so it was perfect. So people who might not want to sit outside, if you park along that road area, it was a lot of fun. And you can see visually very well. So, could be Sebastian's movie theater. Drive in.
That screen was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
The new
It was
the new
great.
screen that I was doing. There was an event this past month at Riverview Park that social media exploded and screamed about at the city that had nothing to do with the city. I'm sure you read a lot of those comments. I don't know if there's some way to indicate in events that are private that they're not, that the city isn't sponsoring them, because there was a lot of negativity about that festival, and people really screaming about it. Did you guys get calls?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, first, primarily, we have to make sure we have it in place that, you know, these days, anybody can just click on our logo, the city logo, and put it on anything they want. We have to get it in writing from every event maker that they can't do that. If they do that, they could face fines or some type of retribution. That's number one, and that's the main thing. It's just they got to understand they cannot put our logo on any of their stuff without our permission, and that should end that. I mean, we had meetings with the event maker for this event.
Had they done that? They had the city logo on their stuff?
Yes.
Ooh.
Going back many events.
Same person doing it.
Yeah. And it was innocent, but
But still, it gives,
until it wasn't.
the residents expect
Right.
better from the city, and somehow they thought that it was using tax funds,
Right.
which becomes an issue for everyone. Mr. Denise?
Yes, I'm curious about this being our centennial year and looking over the centennial calendar. Are you familiar with the whole calendar? I mean, have they given, I haven't.
I have a copy of the calendar, I don't know it.
Yeah, and what part of it is, you know, should we know about, what part of it doesn't? I mean, I see we're looking for a lot of sponsors, you know, how well
Well,
how these events are gonna go on and how many of them are gonna go on.
the centennial events are a team of city workers that are doing this, not the Parks Department.
No.
This is, you know, the clerk's office, some parks. It's everybody in the city is coming together to put this on. So we have some responsibility for it. I imagine as we get closer to December 8th, we'll gain some more responsibility for other things, but right now, that's.
I'd like to make a suggestion. At the last concert in the park I went to, and there was some food booths and popcorn, and I had some people ask me that were sitting, that were friends of mine and knew about the Centennial because they were talking about it. They were wondering why there wasn't a booth maybe at the concert to sell those coins.
We do have a booth at one event per month.
Yes. And actually, on the city website, there's a click for the Centennial Celebration, and it gives you a calendar of, there's one event every single month, and they have volunteers that are selling
So-
like the Centennial T-shirts, and
Were they weren't, I don't think they were at the,
they weren't at that one. They're only at one a month, and I think it's a staffing issue too.
Yeah, we were at one of the craft shows a couple weeks ago.
I'll tell you, the turnout for that night, concert night, was unbelievable. It was the most people I've ever seen there, and I go quite often, so and I know you're not in charge of the committee, but maybe just throw out a thing that would be a good event for them to do the coins and T-shirts, because you've got a lot of people there.
You can get them here too, is that correct? Am I correct?
Yes, in front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on one.
Me too. They're pretty cool, this T-shirt. So, okay, so we have March 29th. Is the Easter egg hunt, does that starts at, the Easter egg hunt starts at 5:45? Okay,
Well,
and then when it
pictures
gets
with
dark?
the Easter Bunny start at 5:45.
Okay.
The
Easter
egg
bunny.
hunt will start around 6:45.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions about the Riverview? Mr. Lindsay?
The Easter egg hunt, are you looking for volunteers for that?
We could always use volunteers.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to wear bunny ears?
And a tail.
And a tail,
Yeah.
okay. We'll be there with cameras.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we're moving on to new business. Item A is the ratification of Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application for Riverview Park.
Madam Chair, the grant application was submitted January 31st. You know, I came here, my first day was January 16th. I knew about the Land and Water Conservation grant, so I didn't realize how close Riverview was to being, you know, in a position to be a really, really good grant project. So in speaking with others, we decided to go ahead and apply. We had consensus from council to go ahead and submit the application for the January 31st deadline. I'm bringing it to you tonight just as a ratification in case the granting agency says, did you take it to your advisory board? Now, we did send a link out this afternoon, and it's more for your information than for anything else, because it is 113 pages long. But you have it, and you can peruse it. We have a very good feeling about this grant. It's $1.5 million grant with a $1.5 million match. So $3 million will go a long way to to
So
upgrade.
I have a few questions on what I did get to look at. So
Okay.
if it's a 1.5 million with match, is the 1.5 million Sebastian match out of general funds?
I'm not sure we do have the match budgeted. I'm not sure exactly which pot of money it's out of, but it is budgeted in the CIP.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about it being railroading some of the 5-year projects that are already in Parks and
already
Rec. This is,
budgeted, yeah.
Is this then, Sebastian would pay half of that then?
Pardon?
Sebastian, we would be paying half of that grant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
yes, so,
We would put up 1.5, and they would put up 1.5.
correct.
Am I thinking right?
Yes.
We put up 1.5, and they give us 1.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
okay, we get money
Yeah.
back.
So
Okay.
when I looked at part of the application that you sent us on the project task deliverables and the acquisition project, do any of these things involve the property across Indian River Drive?
The old trailer park?
Yeah, well, where we like have, where it's
Twin Piers,
it's just
yes.
walking. So,
Yes.
yeah, because I see that we have new picnic pavilions, so those would be additional to what we already have?
Let me be very clear. This is a very important point. We don't know what we're going to get because we haven't done the public charretting. We'll have several public meetings where the public will have the opportunity to come down here or come somewhere and say, okay, this is, somebody was talking about putting the dots on the map where you wanted certain things.
Yeah,
that type of planning will
Okay.
take place.
So this is actually just a lesson in going to 1.5 million to apply for the grant.
And back in 2019, the city had done some master planning like at the 50,000 foot level. That's what is attached to the grant.
Okay.
Now we have the opportunity, assuming we get funded,
Oh, good.
to get really specific and
Then I'm not going to ask any questions about it because it's at the 50,000 foot level.
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know because I was trying to get I had some other things that we don't need to talk about then until we get to
If we get.
some of those smaller city meetings with residents to have input. Anybody have any questions about it? Did you get a chance to take a peek? Anybody?
Well, it's mainly for getting the grant, but it's so wide open, there's no specifics really that are set in stone, and
The only specifics are we have to put certain elements, the elements we listed, have to be a part of the renovation. But the unspecific part of it is where they go, what color how many there are.
But this is all grant for Riverview Park, for that waterfront area?
Which it does include Twin Rivers side.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
I think it's a
good,
no-brainer.
it's good.
If you're gonna
Okay,
get
go,
free money.
go ahead. Go for it.
Madam Chair, it would be nice to have a vote just in case.
Well, so the application's already been submitted. What we're being asked as an advisory board to do now is to take a vote in support of this so that city council knows that we're in support. Is that correct?
So should I make a motion that we
Please.
ratify
Yes.
the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application for Riverview
Madam Chair,
Park?
I'd like to second that motion, please.
Okay, Mr. Denise seconds. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Renzi?
Yes.
Ms. Drumheller?
Yes.
Ms. Webster?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes,
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion carries. We'll move on to item B, Florida Boater Improvement Fund Grants Application for Main Street Boat Ramp Dredging.
Madam Chair, this grant is to fund the dredging of the Main Street boat ramp. If you've spent any time down there, you can tell that the sand is taken over. We need to dredge it to give some more depth for larger boats and also to give more or safer staging for boats that are, tying up, going to get in the trailer and that type of stuff. So this is a simple grant application for dredging to make Main Street boat ramp a safer, better boating experience.
Any discussion? Anyone have any questions?
When they have to do the dredging, then that goes through the St. John, they have to do all that
We have to get
permitting
permits.
and everything?
Right, many
Okay.
permits.
All right.
Do we need to make a motion on this?
I would like,
Oh,
Yes.
I would
quick.
Oh,
appreciate
wait,
that.
Mr. Allen?
So the material that you're dredging out, where's it going?
That's a good question. It could be tested, and depending on how the tests come out, we could keep it if we wanted it. Depending, if the tests are not conducive to use as driveway fill or whatever, then it goes to the landfill.
Okay, so it's not going to spoil islands?
No, they can't.
Oh, okay.
I thought there was a place though between Sebastian and Wabasso. There's a piece of land, actually it's after Reflections,
Yeah,
where they were dumping, like when they do dredging in the river. And that was their dumping area because they can't do
Yeah.
islands or in the middle.
Find may own a piece, and which is common up and down the coast, is Find, which is Florida Inland Navigational District, buys land for you to dump dredge on, so you don't run into the issues of poor
And
test.
when does this grant and what is the other one, the land and water conservation, what kind of timeline?
We will know if we are in the running for land and water probably in May.
Okay, and this one?
The Florida Boater Improvement is due April 1st. We'll probably know in July.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? To my right, to my left?
Or, nope.
Joanne, would you like to make a motion?
I would, I'd be delighted to make a motion that we approve moving forward with the Florida Boater Improvement Fund grant application for the Main Street boat ramp dredging.
Do I hear a
I'll second.
Mr. Allen seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I need to, I forgot to bring it up under unfinished business, but we talked a little at the end of last meeting about readdressing the volunteer of the year through Parks and Recreation, and I was wondering if there's any way to revive that and get it moving before the December, it seems to me the December parade, where we're having all the Christmas stuff, that would be a great time for recognition of someone in our community.
How is that information being dispersed for that?
Well, nothing's been dispersed.
No, but
yet.
when we were going to do that, when we suggested, was it just going to be website or?
So I believe what Brian did was, I think he sent out some emails, and he also put an online application that went to Parks and Recreation, but it didn't get very far, so.
And probably any activity groups, this is Sebastian only, right? Wasn't it?
We had decided as a committee that it would not be, that someone that lived outside of the city of Sebastian could be nominated if they volunteered, like a lot of the ballpark and the Little League folks that put in hours and hours are county, live here, but they're not living within the city guidelines. So we did want to be inclusive and allow, it's about volunteering inside the city of Sebastian, but not too limited to a Sebastian resident, was my understanding when we finished last year.
And we did finish that form. I mean,
it's all done. We just need to bring it back.
And actually, it wouldn't be bad for the next meeting if we could get a copy of that, so that new people and people that forgot can look at that form again. I would suggest that the city send out that form, send it to all these groups that are using the athletic fields and things like that, and then posting it or whatever. But I agree with you. I think we need to start working on that now.
Yeah, it's definitely season, and can we, instead of, because there's so much muddying of what we did, because it's been a while, can we make that an agenda item in March meeting? And when the agenda goes to the committee, can we attach the forms that we had already approved for last year to review, so we can have a discussion with that information?
I would second that if you put it in a motion. I think that's a good idea.
That's fine, we'll do that.
That
And-
work?
and- Yeah, and it didn't have to be just sports either, it was any kind of.
No, it's not
volunteers.
sports,
Yeah.
it's some of the folks that spend, it could be someone on the 100th anniversary committee that has put in 1,000 of hours. One of the wonderful things about being Sebastian and the not so wonderful things about being Sebastian is that there's folks that do an awful lot that we don't hear about. And so we do want to get this out to some of the, and I would be happy once we decide to go to, like the Fraternal Order of the Eagles and the VFW and, some of those others and give them an opportunity to do that because everyone it's not good enough to just throw it on Facebook or a little Instagram thing or put on our website. I still have people that say they don't know anything. And I mean, I see it in like 9 or 10 places. So there's still a contingent of folks here that need some person-to-person discussion to get them on board. So maybe we can even think about
We could do that.
if individuals want to take up some of the slack to bring some of that around.
When is the centennial celebration?
The last event is December.
It's in
December 8th.
December, and the Clydesdales are coming.
And that's where the
Wouldn't that be kind
volunteer
of a
can be
cool
sitting.
time for
Yeah.
the volunteer?
Volunteer
Well, that's
can be
what
on
I'm
it.
saying,
Yeah.
because that's the parade, that's
Oh,
the
is it
whole
gonna be the-
thing. Yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
all,
and the
yeah.
I
volunteer-
didn't know it was gonna be the Christmas
Yeah,
parade.
put the
for
volunteer on that wagon with the Dalmatians.
All right. Does anyone, so we can add that to the agenda, that works. Does anyone have any other agenda items that they would like to see on next month's agenda? Mr. Allen?
Yes. So Indian River County is doing a lot for their Parks and Recreation side, and it was brought up in the last discussion that we have Sebastian, Vero, and Indian River County with 3 different calendars of events for the same residents in the same place. And it would be really nice if we had a single calendar of events, or at least the same content on all 3, so everyone knows what's going on. To your point, things can go out there, some people hear about it, many other people do not. And so different events, different activities, different awards, it would be nice to have some sort of cohesion between the 3 different groups.
That's a good idea.
I'd love to have that up for a more active discussion next month.
Okay, anybody else have anything that they'd like to see brought up?
Madam Chair, if you will, if I can make a comment real quick. I just wanted to thank the advisory board. When the county had the master plan meeting a few weeks ago, 3 of you attended that meeting, which was fantastic. And of the probably 8 or 9 people in there, more than half of them were Sebastian residents. So Sebastian was well represented, and that just says a lot in the county. I hope the county recognizes that, but I recognize it and I appreciate your time in doing that.
Well, thank you. We try to keep moving on because we love it here for all of the wonderful recreational opportunities that we have. Okay, hearing no more from our staff, no more from the thing. This meeting is adjourned.